Hello once again, it's Dane Scott along with Pocket Frog.
Dane's right-hand amphibian.
And today we're going to be talking about Homebrew voiceover demos. What goes into them? Is it something that you can handle? Is it something you're kind of far enough along in to be able to do well? And what are some of the bear traps to avoid? What things do you want to make sure to include? All coming up.
Studio Takes. Real help for the aspiring voiceover artist and Fiverr entrepreneur.
Hey, be sure to stick around until the end today because we're going to be talking about how you can take your audio demo and turn it into a video demo after you've already done the audio. It's not hard at all, and it's inexpensive. It's nothing that I'm promoting for my own purposes. It's just something that I think is going to help you, and I'll show you what you can do and who you can contact about it coming up. Also want to mention that I think this is the first time I've announced it here in one of our studio takes. I now have a Gig Doctor gig on Fiverr. The idea is that you can get the Gig Doctor not just from my website now, but actually over at Fiverr itself. And I think that's kind of appropriate because Fiverr is what I'm talking about when I do Gig Doctors. I help people to succeed on Fiverr, to make their gigs findable, to make their gigs sellable. And so now you can order it actually right now at a discount by going to the link that I'm going to share right inside of this video. If they check the notes, you'll see it down there. It's a special link and it'll save you money on it. Plus, I'm going to, during July here, 2021, I'm going to throw in a free $49.95 HeadSlapper. So it's a really good deal, and you can check it out there by going to the link that I've supplied you with in the notes along with today's studio takes. All right, let's get down to it today, and I think this is really kind of an important thing for anybody that wants to do voiceovers, whether it's on Fiverr or Upwork or Voice 123, or you want to market yourself directly to agencies, that kind of thing. Primarily, this is intended for the people who want to be able to just get something done, create some kind of a demo, especially that first or second demo when you're still finding your feet. And you want to make sure that whatever you put out there is something that's going to be good enough that people will actually go, I could probably use that person. That I like their voice, I like their style or styles, and so on. So we're not going to go into production. We're not going to actually be demonstrating the production of a demo, but we just want to talk a little about the theory of it today. So Homebrew voiceover demos is where we're at right now. First question really to ask yourself is, should I produce my own demo? And there are some criteria for that. Where are your current production skills at? How good are you at, handling production in, say, like a multi-track editor? It does not require a lot. Despite people saying, okay, you've got to learn for a year and you've got to, take coaching and you've got to, take courses and all of that, you can do basic production after just a little bit of learning. But there are some important basic things that you have to understand related to how to align audio with, one track with another, how to get the audio to match up in volume, and a few things like that. I'll talk slightly about that in today's message. There's also the question of budget, and how much money do you have? How much time do you have? So those are two budget items, really. The amount of money you have and the amount of time you have, but especially money. If you are rolling in dough and you're at the point where you want to do a pretty serious demo, yeah, maybe you want to actually hire someone that's more of a professional that really gets what goes into a great demo. Again, if you're just starting out, if the intended purpose is something more basic, like putting a demo up on Fiverr, just an initial demo to get you started, to demonstrate some of the styles you're currently capable of. And that is a demo that potentially you can do yourself if your production skills are reasonably good. By the way, we have the window open. It's just a beautiful day, so little traffic going by, so you'll have to forgive that. I suggest that at the beginning of this process, you get a little inspiration by going online, going to YouTube, just searching online for people who do voiceovers and listening to demos. Take notes, maybe copy some links and keep a list of links of different places that you find demos that you just go, wow, that is awesome. I would love it for my demo to sound kind of like that. So yeah, listen to some demos, and then as you're listening to them, think about what strikes you as being especially good about the demos. For example, you may notice that there is solid variety. among the different clips, the different little snippets of audio in the demo, that they aren't all the same, that maybe the first one is more of a heavy hitting or an energetic one, and then it goes to a lighter one and so forth, and that it mixes it up. In some cases, if you didn't know better, you'd almost ask, is that all the same person? If they're really, they've got a lot of good variety and they're versatile with their voice. So each clip stands out as unique. And the other thing that I think is important to note in a good demo is that each style sounds as though it is perfected. It's not like, okay, now I'm going to sound like this. Now I'm going to sound like this. Now I'm going to sound like this. And it all sounds kind of like, yeah, okay, they just kind of, they've been joking around with friends. And, when they've been joking around with friends, they've kind of done voices and somebody laughed and they had, okay, then that's one of my styles. It takes more than that. You need to develop into something that can be a kind of a believable style, one that is reproducible, one that you can use over a long period of time, say in an audiobook every time that character comes up, or across an entire narration where that style is demanded of you for the entire narration. So don't just plop a style out there that maybe you can do a few words of that sound kind of cool, but that you couldn't really do in an actual voiceover. And then also, no weak clips or filler clips. And by that, I mean, a clip that, it's not that much different than the other ones you already have in your demo. Maybe it just, is not your best stuff, but you feel like, okay, I don't have enough good stuff to put in here, so I'll use this clip from something that I recorded or from this mock-up that I did. Next, how long should the demo be? And the general good answer on that is about a minute long. Back when I was first doing voiceovers, it was not uncommon for people to do demo reels that were 3 minutes long, 5 minutes long. You'd be sending them out in the mail on a literal reel, a tape reel. And so often they were fairly long demos. And that has changed a lot. Now, these days, people want to hear something and they want to hear it fast, and they want to make a decision about whether it's going to be you or somebody else. So a 1 minute demo is about right, I think. On Fiverr, you can go just a little longer. You can tack another 15 seconds onto that, a total of 1:15 or 75 seconds, depending on how you want to think of it. Your demo can actually even be longer than that if you're only doing audio, but if you're going to do a demo with video, 75 is the max on Fiverr. And what I recommend is that you think seriously about video. Again, you do not necessarily have to do the demo with video at the outset. You can add video afterwards, and I'll be telling you about that at the end of today's session. Then the possibility of an extended demo also exists out there. So maybe someone has said, look, what kind of styles can you do? I get this happens to me on Fiverr fairly frequently. Someone will inquire of me and say, look, I've got a client and they're interested in, investigating different voices. Can you send me a demo? Well, I happen to have a demo that must be 90 seconds or 2 minutes long, and it's got a lot of different stuff in it. And so what I say is, sure, here's my extended demo. And each of the clips is not long, so it's not like it's not longer because each clip is longer. It's just that there's more different stuff in it. So that particular extended demo is one that I'll send out. It sounds like they really would like to have a really solid representation of everything I can do. So I'll say, here is my extended demo. Please give this a listen, and if you don't hear what you like right away, keep listening because there are a lot of different samples of styles on here. So maybe if you're interested in having something like that, you could put together an extended demo eventually that has more stuff than just what you pack into your 1 minute demo. Then what should it contain? Well, if it is a general demo, a lot of times it will be one of two things. It'll either be a commercial demo, which means that it has, basically it has commercials on it. They're ads for different things. And the thing about a commercial demo is if there's enough different style represented on it, it could really be used as a general demo to say, okay, this kind of gives you an idea of what my voice is like and some of the styles that I can do. And some of that same information could really be applied to a lot of different genres that they may be needing you for. But then it also could be a specialized demo. And that could also be a commercial demo, strictly commercials. And then you may also have one that is your phone messages and greetings and IVRs and voices messages on hold. It could be e-learning, instructional stuff, truck alert, Oh, that sounds like a diesel. Okay. And other examples. So there's lots of different kinds of demos that you can do. But if you're not sure what you need initially, maybe a commercial demo would be good. The other approach you could take would be to have one demo that has some snippets of different things. So maybe you have a commercial in there. You have an e-learning snippet. You also have, maybe a phone message and a couple of other things, maybe a corporate-sounding image piece. So you could do a mix and match. That's not inconceivable, especially on one of these pay-to-play sites or in a location like Upwork or Fiverr. But it should definitely contain variety. I've stressed that already, and I'll keep stressing it throughout this. You need to have variety in there. You need a number of different clips, and the question is how many clips? Well, if it's a 60-second demo, then the length of the clips and the number of clips work together. And here's what I would say about that. I don't think that a clip that's 3 to 5 seconds long is long enough, to say. For occasional use only as directed. Okay. It's just not enough. I mean, I think that what it does is it's almost a discourtesy to the person who's listening, because I think they want to hear enough of you doing a particular style that it kind of registers in their brain. So if the things are flying by too fast, maybe in a character voice demo, you could get by with, the rapid fire machine gun, boom, 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 a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But I think for other kinds of narration or for other kinds of voiceovers, it's a courtesy to give them at least 8 seconds, of a clip. And at about 10 seconds, it's time to move on. So I generally say 8 to 10 seconds, okay, maybe 8 to 12 seconds, but kind of right in that range is good. And if you do 10 seconds, let's use that as an average, then, a 60-second demo would have 6 cuts in it, which is actually a kind of a good number. It's enough that they can hear that, okay, you can do this kind, this kind, this kind, this kind, this kind, this kind. There's 6. And, if they hear more than that, maybe they're going to stop being able to really totally process it. So 5 or 6 clips in a demo, I think, is good for a 60-second piece. And then it comes down to the order of clips. That's the next thing here. The first clip, what I generally think is a good idea is that should be a combination of 2 things. It should be the best thing you can do, or it should be the thing that you seem to get the most requests for. Maybe you could consider it to be kind of your money voice, the one that just comes really naturally, and when people hear it, they go, give me that. When they listen to your demo, they say, that one. Well, if you have a lot of people that are saying that, I think that's a pretty good indication that that's a good one to put at the very beginning of your demo. So often the one that's the most popular will be the one that you tend to it's in your comfort zone. It's one that you do well naturally. And a lot of times it's good if it's something that's kind of attention-getting, so that right before they get too far into your demo, immediately you've grabbed their attention. You kind of, they're face foremost, and they're listening. They're listening with both ears to your demo. You start with something that's a little bit kind of namby-pamby, maybe. Maybe they're gone quicker than you want them to be. But make it your best thing, whatever that is. The second clip in your demo, I would say make that the second best, especially if it is in a different style than the first one. If you've got a second best clip where the style is so close to the first one that they're not noticeably different, I think that's kind of a mistake. So, okay, if you say, okay, my second best style is pretty close to my first best style, that's probably not the best one to make your second clip. So make the second one enough noticeably different than the first that people go, oh, he can do that too, or she, okay? And then in between after the first and second clip and before you get to the end, you would put a variety of your other stuff, the things that you also can do well. No fill, no junk. And then for the last clip, I suggest that you make that your third best. It can also, a fun thing to do would be if that one's got a little humor in it, it's nice to end with a little bit of a humorous twist or something. For example, there's a demo of character voices where at the end there's this guy that's being kind of harassed by someone else, and so at the end of it, of that clip, he goes, "Okay, enough." So I put that at the end because it's the end of the demo. So the last thing I say is, "Okay, enough." Okay, so you can do something kind of fun with the ending if you've got something like that. The other thing I wanted to mention is the things to avoid, the things to look out for, things that are probably not a good idea, the little bear traps, the things that I notice in demos that immediately kind of stand out to me as like, oops, that was probably a mistake. Okay, so here are some of those. Crossfades, fade-ins, and fade-outs. If you listen to professionally produced demos, you will not hear someone talking and then they fade like this, and then the next fades in. You don't hear that stuff. You don't hear a cut off sentence. You won't hear someone talking in the middle of a sentence. It either chops off or it fades out, and then it goes to the next clip, completely different clip. What a good demo does is it will find a logical place between sentences to cut away, so it doesn't feel interrupted the same way it would. A crossfade is not a good technique, in my opinion. It's better to find a logical place where it's like you've finished a thought, and then you start your next clip. And at the beginning of the demo, start clean, start sharp. Don't start by fading in at the beginning of a demo. Start clean. And then as you go to the next one, find a logical end of a sentence, end of a thought, stop there, go to the next clip, and so on. So it's clean, clean, clean. The end, yeah, you could fade out at the end. It kind of depends on, what it is. My tendency would be that I don't think I would fade out of a clip if it was in the middle of a sentence. I would instead, only use fade if it was music at the end. And I wanted to just kind of fade out of the music. But don't fade out of words. That's my recommendation anyway. Do not use extra long or extra short clips unless you've got a really good reason for it. I'm not saying it's an absolute hard and fast rule, but in general, I think it's a good idea to kind of stick to that 8 to 12 second range for each clip. Definitely do not recommend short clips. For occasional use only is directed, those kind of things. Mismatched audio levels is a big problem in demos that I hear, especially among people that are producing their own. Maybe they have done a series of voiceovers that they've done for different clients, and they've got the original audio of it, or they've got the audio that was supplied by the client of the finished product, and the audio files just don't match up in terms of audio. Some of them maybe were processed more heavily. Some of them were processed less or not at all. And that affects the overall loudness to the ear. And it may be also that you've just recorded stuff at various times yourself and you're putting them into the demo. Be very, very sensitive to the fact that as you go from one audio clip to the next, you shouldn't have to lean toward the speaker to hear, or lean back away from the speaker because the next one is so much louder than the previous one. Some of that you can tell visually just by looking at the waveform of the audio, after you've, placed the pieces in. But whatever you need to do to make sure that the audio matches up and that it feels consistent going from one cut to the next, do it. Stuff that's better than you do. Okay, I had to stop for a second what I meant by that in my little notes here, but what that really refers to is the fact that sometimes we can have these little bursts of inspiration where we suddenly do something that sounds really great, but if someone were to say to you afterwards, can you reproduce that? Can you do it again for me? You would have to go, well, maybe not. This is a trap that you can fall into, especially when you have someone else coach you through the voiceovers that will be in your demo, where they say, okay, here's take 4, this time do it this way. Here's take 5, this time give me a little more of that. And it ends up with, yeah, this is absolutely the best you can possibly sound, but when you get on your own, is that something that you can reproduce? Can you do it again? Will you remember the directions, the instructions, and be able to reproduce it for a client? And sometimes the answer may be no. So you have to be honest with yourself about that. Maybe you just had a little flash of inspiration, but it's not a part of what you really can seriously offer to a client. So make sure what you offer is what you can really do. And the other thing is, watch out for too much processing. I hear a lot of demos, and frankly, I hear some also by people that are professional demo producers that absolutely hurt my ears. They just pound. I can feel it in my forehead when I'm listening. They're so processed out. And there again, this is not you. That's not what you sound like. And it also, if they're using their own processing, it's not something you'll even be able to reproduce if you're doing it yourself. So my suggestion is, okay, if you decide that you want to generally always use processing on everything you do for a client, which I do not do, but if you decide to, that should be about the level of processing that you do in your demo too. Don't overdo it. It's kind of like makeup. Less is more. If you've ever seen someone that's got like way too much makeup on, it's like, oh, that's not helping. If anything, it's almost a little repulsive. The same thing can happen with processing. It can get repulsive. It can be kind of oppressive sounding, in my opinion. So I would say don't add any more processing than what you plan on doing when you actually deliver product. In my own case, I'll tell you honestly that I deliver my voiceovers clean, no real compression or anything like that. Just a little tiny bit of touching up, clean up, but that's about it. And so because of that, my demos are the same way. My demos do not contain any real noticeable processing, but your mileage may vary on that, and I understand there are different theories and approaches to that, so and I don't expect that everyone will agree with me on that or follow that. But again, just consider whether you want your processing to be where you want it to be, and then make sure that your demo represents the way you actually deliver audio to clients. Here's a comment for us today. Here's something you can comment on, and I would love to hear about this from you. What have you done in your own demos so far? Tell us about your experience. Have you ever created your own demo? And now that you have, and you listen back to it, what would you do differently now? How would you change what you did the next time you do a demo? What have you learned from the experience? Give us the comments there in YouTube, and then also through the podcast. Be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the YouTube video Studio Takes, and also to the podcast. Love the 5-star rating. And now let me get to what I promised you today, and that is a way for you to turn an audio demo into a video demo. In the comments for today's Studio Takes, I'm going to give you a link to a lady named Danyell. She is one of a number of people who do this. But I think she does a very nice job. She's on Fiverr. I recommend her to my gig doctor people a lot because I'm just impressed with the quality of her work. She's someone that I would say kind of has radar at this. And what she'll do, you send her your gig image, and you send her your audio file of your demo, and she will find corresponding video clips and stills and so forth to illustrate. And she'll create a demo video from your audio, and also put in there your gig image, at the front or the back or both, whatever you want to do for that. She can also add titles to it, and she does a very nice job. One of my main gigs on Fiverr is a demo that uses her services. So if you want to see an example of it online, if you go to Golden Tones on Fiverr and you check out the demo, what I call my senior demo, it's the one that has some of the older style voices in it. It sounds like an older person voiceovers. She chose video clips for that, and I thought she did a nice job. I have no commercial connection with her at all, except that I just admire her work, and so I recommend her. And I think her starting price is still like $15 to do this, so it's nuts. It's a great deal. Take advantage of something like that, because as Fiverr points out, you have about a 40% more effectiveness, they say, whatever you want to interpret that as, by having video as opposed to just having audio. That's our Studio Takes for today, along with Pocket Frog.
Get out of here.
I'm Dane Scott, and thanks for watching today. We'll do another one soon.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, I think.
Hello, cutie pie.
Until I heard the voice,
I'd never done a crazy thing in my whole life.
Goodbye.